Welcome to the Develop Yourself podcast, where we teach you everything you need to land your first job as a software developer by learning to develop yourself, your skills, your network, and more. I'm Brian, your host. So for many of you out there learning to code, or maybe you're already coding, you probably want to get a job as a software engineer at some point. Maybe you're looking for your first job or your next job, or you're thinking, how do I change careers and get into a very high-paying career with code? I would say learn to code and do whatever the hell you want. Maybe that involves coding for money for somebody else, trading your time for money. Maybe that involves going into a software adjacent field like product management, data analysis, sales engineering, product management, QA. There are lots of possibilities and lots of other things you can do with coding as a foundational skill that will take you all sorts of different ways. Or maybe you want to become an entrepreneur and maybe you want to build something. And I think that's a great thing to do either on the side or as your primary source of income. Maybe you just want to keep your current job and make a couple $1,000 a month. I think there's a unhealthy addiction and obsession with these overnight millionaires. You see them on Instagram and TikTok, and some 22-year-old kid is telling you how he just made like 100,000 doing drop shipping or some other kind of hustle that I think is not a sustainable thing. Coding, on the other hand, is a foundational skill, like I've said before, which can lead you to all sorts of interesting areas. So I'm going to break down how I actually did this. I built a 5-figure side business as a software engineer. I've also failed at multiple businesses. And now, as you may know, I also own Parsity, which is kind of software adjacent. I don't write a lot of code for Parsity, but I have written code for other businesses that I've done and helped other people in their own businesses. Some have failed, some have done okay. And I'm going to share the story about how I made around $50,000 to $60,000 in sales. How I did it is not really a tech deep dive at all. This is more of like a strategy that you can follow, use, steal it, just do exactly what I did if you want. And this is a way that you can have a business. None of this, by the way, is like novel or crazy information you can't get other places. I'd say, in fact, if you're really interested in starting a business or some sort of side business, it's like a 5-figure type of thing that you can do as a part-time gig, I would follow people like Alex Hormozy. I think Cody Sanchez has some great material out there. These people help with sales, ads, leads, acquiring boring businesses. I'm going to share more of a software related tip for you and how I did this. So I've started way too many failed businesses to even count at this point, right? I've always been interested in hustling, even as a kid. I was doing car washes as a kid, selling candy, selling mixtapes, like literal tapes, which tells you, I'm a little bit older than many of you out there, perhaps. Then when I got into coding, I'm like, cool, I'm gonna make a real-time CSS tool. I started working for a startup that me and some acquaintances made for real estate, a learning management system, a SaaS app for actors to upload their auditions, all sorts of stuff that seems completely unrelated. But I built it using the foundation of code, the skill that I've acquired over the years. I went from my car washes to doing illegal stuff to doing code. And now I still like running businesses. It's a thing I find really enjoyable to do. It's helped me in my own job. I still work a 9 to 5. I like what I do. I have no intention of just leaving. Even if I made $1 million, I'd still be in it because guess what? I like what I do. I like writing code. I like helping people out to write code. I like managing people and doing all that stuff with software. It's a fun challenge, and it's a thing I enjoy. So this year, or actually rather last year, I was on track to do around 50 to 60K in sales. I'm a full-time engineering manager. I'm a father. I was also beginning to run Parsity. So what I'm trying to say is this wasn't like a full-time commitment. And this is a thing that I think you could totally do. So if you're a software engineer interested in starting your own business, I'm going to lay out some practical, no nonsense advice for you to start. What I'd do differently if I was beginning today. And as a coder, you already have a top tier skill that helps other people make boatloads of money by implementing ideas. Why not just build your own thing? Unfortunately, you're probably doing one of these 4 business killing mistakes I did. First thing first, whether in software or business, keep it simple, dummy. When I started out, I didn't know what I didn't know. I had no clue. I thought my skills as a software engineer was enough. I'd just come up with a product and then people would just pay for it. Very wrong, right? Pretty naive. I missed some very obvious steps. 1, does anyone want the thing that I'm building? 2, are there any businesses offering the similar thing, and are they seeing any success with it? 3, what is my offer? And 4, how will I market this? That is really important. So I'm going to break down how you can go from MVP meaning minimally viable product. I would even change this to MUP, minimally usable product. You don't want to spend days, weeks, years like I did. Actually, I spent 2.5 years on a product that we ended up getting offered $10,000 for, which maybe it seems like, oh, wow, it's cool. You got offered $10,000. But if you think of the hundreds of hours we spent building it, that was nowhere near what we thought we were going to get offered for this thing. We didn't do any of this stuff, and it led us down a very expensive rabbit hole. I learned a ton from these failed businesses, by the way. I think they were still really integral to my development as a developer and help me now in the businesses. And I think people also need to realize that failure is going to be part of your journey doing this. And you just have to get used to the idea that your first idea might not be the one that hits, right? I'm on my 10th, 12th business right now, Parsity, and this is going to be the most successful one so far from what I can see. So step 1, research. One of the best indicators that you have a product or service that people want to pay for is that there's already a product or service out there that people are paying for. And you may think that's counterintuitive, wait, if there's already a product out, why would people buy mine? We'll get to that soon, but marketing, offering, finding a niche within that service or area or space is going to be really, really valuable for you. Think about this. There's Uber, there's Lyft, right? Now, Uber is the dominant one. Lyft still makes tons of money, and they're not directly, they are directly competing with Uber, aren't they? Think about any other apps that you might use. Airbnb exists. Hotels still exist. There's enough market out there for other competitors to be in. Think about even things like supplements. This is a huge one, like the supplement industry for fitness and bodybuilders. Now that has tons of different ones you could buy all over the place, and people still go to the ones from their favorite influencer, or the one that's marketed to them, the one at their local store. What I'm saying is, if you think of something that is so unique that no one has ever thought about it ever in this world full of 6 billion people, then maybe you've thought of an idea that's just too unique and that won't actually make money. When you think about these businesses we just spoke about too, by the way, Airbnb or Uber or Lyft, you may think of them as pretty revolutionary, but ultimately they're just a spin on the exact same product. Do you want somebody to drive you somewhere? Do you want to sleep somewhere that is not your home? They just added some tech on top of these kind of older industries. So anyway, if you're starting off, what I'd recommend is a service-based offer, like teaching others a skill or a short course that helps a customer get from point A to point B quickly. Now, service-based means that it would be you working one-on-one with somebody. That's the way I started, but before I even got started and was able to offer that, I had to learn the skill of coding, building software. So I did that for years, nearly a decade, before I started offering it as a service. I do not think you need to wait that long to do that at all. I think I actually waited too long. I was teaching people how to code 2 to 3 years into my career, and I'm now teaching bootcamp grads how to write unit tests, for example. Maybe a Next.js crash course, maybe public speaking for shy software developers. This is something that doesn't require any technical skill, but you need to have some skill. I think this is the part where most people skip out on. They go straight to the landing page, to the offer, to the sales, but you got to think, what are you offering somebody that's actually going to help them? So a service-based offer does not scale. Scaling means, can you offer a service-based offer, your time basically, to 1,000 people? Absolutely not. And you shouldn't want to scale. You want to get really great results for the first few people. That way you can get testimonials. Testimonials get you better results for the other people. You get better customers that come and they say, hey, I see that what you're doing is working. It also encourages you to want to get testimonials. So your goal is get people, give them a service-based offer, get testimonials, put those testimonials on your LinkedIn or your Instagram, whatever channel you're using to tell people about what you're doing. That's where those should go. These one-on-ones should be priced reasonably. It ensures that the customer takes the program seriously and prevents you from dealing with flakes. Now, that's a weird one. I experimented with a really low price point at one time, and I got people that just didn't even show up. It was wild to me. They'd pay me money, they'd barely show up, they haggled about the price, and they just didn't seem to get a lot out of it. The moment I raised my price by, I doubled it essentially, I got better customers. People were more involved. They wanted to show up because they had put some money down, and then I had better results for those people. Counterintuitive. I know everybody is in a race to the bottom. Do not do that. You'll get customers that you don't ultimately want, especially if you're dealing with people in your time. You want to make sure you're taking people that you really feel are a good fit. Just like we do at Parsity, we don't take everybody that walks through the door. We take people that can pass a coding exam. They've usually listened to this podcast. They know a little bit about what we are about. We make sure that they have the aptitude and the skill in order to succeed in the program. A lot of boot camps just take anybody that walks through the door, which is why a lot of them are failing, in my opinion, at this point, because they were after so much money that they just kept lowering the price, getting more and more people through the door that had no business learning how to code, that didn't know the first thing about coding, and then saying, cool, just give us your money and we'll give you bad results. Didn't get the testimonies they wanted. And yeah, where are they now? Not doing so freaking hot. So now you've done the research on your offer. You've maybe settled on a service-based offer. Now, the offer creation. Step 2, make an offer they cannot refuse. So many of you have probably seen me on LinkedIn, or maybe you know me from here, but you may not know that my original business, I started on Instagram and I had less than 500 followers. And my offer was I work with software engineers to crush their next interview without doing hundreds of leak code problems, and we do not stop until you're hired. I got my 3 first customers this way. You don't need a large following to make money. You need a good offer. Even right now, I don't have a massive following, either on this podcast or on Instagram or on TikTok or any of these places. On LinkedIn, I have a pretty sizable following, but it actually doesn't help me with Parsity. And you just need a good offer. Too many people focus on likes and engagement, and I need to get 10,000 followers before I can have my offer. I need 30,000 followers, and they make these wild numbers. Like, no. You need to start with a good offer and reaching out to people that resonate with that offer. So one of my other products was Not Another Course, which was a series of tutorials and coding challenges that people would do on their own. And I said, hey, my guarantee is this is going to shorten your path to senior software engineer. You do these challenges, I guarantee you, they're going to expose you to the kind of problems that you're going to want to be able to solve when you get to senior engineer. You're not going to find them anywhere else. Stand by that. I think it's an excellent thing. I think the offer needed some work. I think the product was actually really good. And if I was going to do it again, I'd repackage it and I'd sell it as a software developer survival guide. And I would, maybe add some additional things to it. But having a good offer is really, really key. Good offer will reverse the risk in a person's mind, saying, hey, I'll work with you until you're hired. That reverses the risk. What am I offering? I'm saying you're going to be able to crush your next interview. So you want to sell the benefit of it. What is the benefit of them working with you? You don't want to say, I'll teach you to use LinkedIn really well. You want to say, I'll get you more engagement on LinkedIn than you've ever had by working with me for 3 months. You make it time bound. You have the end result within the offer. If you're selling fitness, for example, you'd want to say, I'll get you to 6-pack within, 6 months. 6 months to 6-pack. Oh, you like that? Feel free to steal that one. 6 months to 6-pack, or I'll eat a box of donuts. I don't know. I don't always like the whole idea of, or your money back or whatever. I'm like, you can't guarantee people results at the end of the day. You can say, if you do exactly what I tell you to do, you're going to get good results. If you don't, well, that's on you. And that's kind of how everything works in life. I think Alex Hormozy, another person I've spoken about earlier, sales genius, has a great book for crafting offers and leads, and they're really cheap. Great books. You should read them if you're at all interested in taking your business to business. If you have a side project you want to take to a business, or you just want to know more about marketing and leads, do that. So step 3, you need to get people to know you. You need to market yourself because no one knows you exist yet. I scaled my LinkedIn from 1K to over 20,000 followers with luck, consistency, and barely a viral post. Consistency will win over intensity every single time. So whether you are applying for jobs as a software engineer or you are trying to scale a business, you need to be consistent in what you do. You don't need a bunch of huge home runs. In fact, you kind of want to avoid those, in my opinion. Viral posts are great, but if you're trying to go viral all the time, I think that you're generally speaking to a lot of people. And if you're speaking to a lot of people, you're kind of speaking to nobody. So I don't make any money, by the way, from this podcast, from my LinkedIn, from my Instagram, TikTok, all these places where I write all the time. I don't get any money for that. No one pays me just to write on LinkedIn. I did, in fact, get paid once to write on LinkedIn through a program, but in general, no, I don't make any money or any significant amount of money from that at all. But I have all these followers on LinkedIn. Now, here's something really interesting. Per capita, I make a lot more money on IG, and my IG is hovering around 1.5K. So less than 2,000 followers on IG. I've had more customers come through IG than LinkedIn. Think about that for a minute. 20,000 followers on one platform, less than 2,000 on the other platform. One is making me a hell of a lot more money, which makes you think, why the hell are you spending so much time on LinkedIn? I like it. I have a wider audience, and it helps me understand what people are dealing with, and I get a lot of value from hearing people's stories there. And also, it's for my professional profile. So guess what? I'm still employed as a software engineer and manager. I like to be on there a lot because I know it's going to help me in the long run. Anyway, likes ain't cash. So you shouldn't be chasing likes. Now, you can't have 0 followers either. So I'd say start on some platform. Start somewhere where you feel comfortable. IG, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever. Pick one, Twitter, whatever. Doesn't matter. Threads, your posts should talk about the topic related to your service. So if you were selling fitness, for example, you would talk about the struggles somebody at the beginning of their journey would have with fitness. Now, my LinkedIn in this podcast, for example, talks about the struggles you may be having at the beginning of your journey as a software engineer. And in this case, at the beginning of your journey as maybe a business owner or trying to start a project or side hustle, side business that you want to do. And that's who I'm talking to. I want to help you on those first few steps because I've been there. I know about it. I know what you're going through. And then I can give you some advice to help you shorten your path from 0 to 1, right? So talk about the things that your audience will relate to and always have a call to action. What is a call to action? What do you want them to do next? So you've heard this podcast. A lot of times you'll hear me say, hey, join Dev30. Hey, check out Parsity. Hey, I have a free thing linked to the episode that I'd like you to check out. Check it out. See if you like it. Maybe you'll read that and you'll say, you know what? I like what this person is saying. Or maybe you don't. That's fine too. Because you want to also get rid of people who are not part of your community that you don't want to resonate with your message. So I'm saying, hey, we're a small boot camp. We have a test to get in. We're not for everybody. I don't want us to be for everybody. I want to, repel some people that aren't into that. People that want a short, quick fix. No, I don't want that kind of person in the program. So we purposely try to get rid of them, right? You want to do something the same. You want to have something that's a call to action. Have them book a call with you. See if they're a good fit. Only if they are, then offer the service if they want to know more. This is low pressure sales. This is the same thing we do at Parsity. We don't have high pressure sales tactics. If you want to talk to me, hey, book a call with me. In fact, sometimes I'll book a call, talk to the person, say, oh, so what about the program? And I'll say, yeah, if you want to know about the program, I'm more than happy to talk to you about it. But I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to give you information and you make that decision because ultimately you already know what you want to do. I'm just here to help guide you and provide you with the next step. Is that the wrong thing to do? A lot of people would say, yeah, I'm not into high pressure sales. I don't want people that feel pressured into something, get into the course and they feel like they didn't get what they want. So if your product is a course or an app, a link to the site is completely sufficient. For Parsity, we have a much higher price range. So we have a more complex sales line. So we need to have you talk to a human typically, and then, go through some steps to be in there. But if you're selling something like a really small course or like a SaaS app that's like $20 a month, just a link to it would be more than sufficient. Step 4, ads. So one of my regrets with my marketing strategy for my other businesses was that my social media presence is directly tied to my sales. I don't like that so much because it's unpredictable. Like you never know when LinkedIn will like blow up or if this podcast, I have like a really great episode and then the next episode, like not so hot, right? And then that's not a great way to have repeatable business. So a healthy business can't really truly depend on just like your virality as an influencer. It's not a healthy way to do things. So paid ads are definitely a thing to look into. And if you're interested in doing paid ads, I actually have a Loom video that I've recorded that I showed to a young guy at my gym that I thought could get a kick out of it. I've showed it to some other tech creators that were trying to monetize. And I've showed it to a young kid at my gym who was doing Facebook ads. And I thought, you know what, man, maybe you'd get a kick out of this. And I think it's really helpful. It honestly is a video that I've shared with people that never really got a lot of traction, but I think people pay for this information. I want to give it to you for free. So if you want it, just reach out to me and you should have my contact information linked to this episode as well. Hit me up on LinkedIn. Go to the site, schedule a call with me. Whatever you want to do, if you can find my email, I'm not going to give out here, but if you want to find it somewhere and email me, hey, I'm more than happy to get this out to you. I think it's a really cool walkthrough about how Facebook ads work and like my general like strategy for selling stuff, which I think could be really helpful for you. So one way to make sure your business does not rely on you being like a micro influencer is ads. I've done Google ads, Facebook ads. The Facebook ad for getting one-to-one clients for the coaching service was pretty good. And I had a Google ad driving traffic to my Not Another Course offering. And that was for like a smaller product that costs like $100. The Facebook ads have a lead magnet. It's for a much more expensive service. And it was document, had a bunch of videos and links. And if you notice that we actually have that on the Parsity website, we have an Ultimate.js like document that has all sorts of cool resources and a video and some challenges and stuff that I know is going to help you out. So it's a great lead magnet. Maybe you'll take it and say, oh, cool, I like this. Or maybe you'll take it and say, yeah, this isn't really for me. And that's fine too. You know, ideally it helps you out, but I know it can't help everybody out. So once they schedule this call or they get this document, we want to get their email. Once we get their email, we can follow up with them. And that way we're not depending so much on being influencers out there. I would only do paid ads once you have a proven product and you have a few paying customers. Because then when you know something works, you say, okay, cool, I have this product, I have this service, it works. Now I have a few paying customers. Now I think it's time to scale up. Let me do ads. Now think about the people in business that are making the most money out there, like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, or, you know, the guy down the street that owns a plumbing business. Think about those next door millionaires or multi-six-figure earners that you're living near or around that you just never heard of. Are they on the internet all day? No, they're not. Are they running ads? You can bet they are. That is the way to scale a business. I think this idea of constant content generation is one, draining, two, not for everybody. I really like doing content creation. I love writing online. I like speaking on a camera. I like telling you stuff through a microphone. If I got no money ever again from doing this, I would still keep doing it because I really enjoy it. You may not. You have to be honest with yourself. Can you get on a camera every day? Can you write stuff every day? If you don't like it, it'll shine through. People are really, really good at sniffing out BS, right? That's one thing humans are incredible at. They know when someone is being disingenuous or not, or they're being genuine. We can tell. We can tell through your voice, through your behavior. We just know. We know when somebody's trying to sell us something, when they're a snake oil salesman or something like that. A lot of dumb people don't. But you don't want to take advantage of those poor saps, right? So my advice to you is do what you feel comfortable with doing. I think ads are a great way to scale, but I also think you'll have to start somewhere. And when you're starting from scratch, the best way to learn how to market is to write your own ads, which comes in the form of content creation through social media networks. So you'll have to start there before you can go to ads, because then you'll figure out what works for free. Here's my tech stack, by the way. Here's the tech stack I use to start a simple business that I think you should and could use immediately to get started. For my website, I used a site called card.co, and that's card with two R's, CARRD.co. Excellent landing pages. You can get a landing page up, and I made my first like 20 sales just using that. It's amazing. I was blown away. You can integrate Stripe for payments. So if you have like a service or a business, you say, here, go to the website. Here's the payment link. Boom. Appointments, Calendly. I use Calendly for my appointments still. In fact, if you go to Parsity, you'll see my ability to book a brainstorm session. And again, not a sales call. And I market it like that. I'm saying this is not a sales call because it's not. You call up and maybe we'll talk about web dev stuff, your path to software engineer. And maybe if we're a good fit, we talk about it. If we're not, hey, see you later. It's all good. But appointments, Calendly. And for your creative, you could use Canva. Canva is a great tool. You can do it. You can have the free version. You can have the paid version. You could use Dolly on Chat GPT if you wanted to. And you don't need to make great like looking ads, by the way. I think people are a little bit jaded by how polished ads are nowadays. They can kind of smell it when a big corporation is trying to sell them things. So if you notice what's selling more actually online on websites like Reddit or even X are memes. So people like these kind of lo-fi memes, lower quality images that let you know that, hey, there's probably a real person behind this. It makes it feel less like a big corporation or business. They want to know about you ultimately. So the more you can either show you or have something funny, relatable, or just something that's like very clear, like here is the problem I plan to solve for you. Are you a dad in the Bay Area that wants to lose 10 pounds before March? Hit me up. See, that's a very targeted ad. You read that and immediately you stop and say, damn, I am a dad in the Bay Area that wants to lose 10 pounds. So how'd this guy know? Or this woman know? I don't know. Here's my very, very hot take though. You should probably not start a business. I just went through this whole spiel about businesses, right? My super hot take is don't start a business at all. You don't need to start a business one bit. I like it. I've been hustling since I was a little kid, doing all sorts of stuff, candy, car washes, tapes, illegal, finally into software, and maybe who knows what's next. It's just been a thing that I've loved to do my whole life. I've liked the idea of making money from nothing. And I still like working for others too. I don't have a problem working for anybody. I don't want to escape my 9 to 5. So why shouldn't you start a business? I think there's a lot more money to be made as a software engineer, and it's way more straightforward. So straightforward. You get a high-paying job as a software engineer, and you become a manager or a lead or a tech lead, and you go to a company that offers stocks, and you get a bunch of stock in that company. And it doesn't have to be through one of the big FANG corporations. I, for example, have stock. I don't work for a tech company. Many others do too. Many others get compensation through like revenue splits, all sorts of other ways you can make a ton of money as a software engineer that doesn't involve directly getting paid. So whether it's stocks, whether it's like revenue split, whether it's other options or whatever you can negotiate that are outside of your base salary. That's a much more straightforward way to get rich as an individual contributor or a leader on a team. If you can find ways to drive innovation in your own company, you're going to be rewarded. So if you get into a leadership position 5-10 years in your career, and which is to me nothing, right? I'm 40, I'm 10 years into my career. I have another 25 years at least left in my career, which is wild to say out loud, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. So I have so much more time to figure out what works, what doesn't, to get higher and higher, to find out how to drive more innovation, to find out how to make bigger and better changes at a larger and larger scale. So I know a couple of developers who are also overemployed, who make nearly $1 million. Seriously, I saw the paper. I didn't really believe it until I asked him, like, can you like show me some proof that you're, and I was blown away. I was like, you make like $750,000 a year? One dude showed me a thing. He was right at the million mark. I'm like, you made like $900,000+ in a year? And he worked like 3 to 4 jobs. I was blown away. He was a younger guy and he was working, at least 3 jobs when I saw him last. And I don't know how he did it really. He also, there's a lot of things going into that one. But anyway, all I'm saying is you don't have to start a business to do that. I like it. I'm still very junior at this. I'm still learning a lot, which is why I like sharing it with you on here. And I want to get better at it. And I want to have a larger impact on the developer community in general. And I'm not sure where this will ultimately take me, but I'm enjoying the ride. And if you are into that kind of thing and enjoying the ride of doing a business, starting a business, try it out. Lastly, if you are learning to code, this is a viable path for you to actually make some money. Build a product, make sure it works, see if it solves a problem for somebody, get a website with a payment link on there. Finally, market it using social media. See what works, see what doesn't. Don't give up. Fail a few times. You're going to find something that works. You're going to find something that somebody is willing to pay at least $20 for. Hope that's helpful. I'll see you around. That'll do it for today's episode of the Develop Yourself podcast. To learn more about becoming a software engineer with us, then check out Parsity.io. If you're not quite ready for that, then jump into our Dev30.xyz program, which is 30 days of working on your mindset, habits, and JavaScript skills. Totally worth it. See you next week.